What's up, man?
Derek Wolfe, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
First live that we're doing.
This is badass. This is the first one?
This is the first live. You're it. You're on the show for the first one. So welcome. I'm pumped to hear what you have to say and the question that you've got. And I'm stoked that you were able to do this.
Yeah, man. I'm really grateful for the opportunity. I appreciate you, man.
Absolutely. So what do you got? What question did you bring? And what do you want to discuss?
So I was going to talk to you about, because I think that when it comes to veterans and football players, we can relate a lot. I think that anything that's like high stress, obviously the stakes are a lot lower in football, but it's still it hits that same part of the brain of like this high stress, high anxiety. And then when it's done, like what do you do on a daily basis? Because I know what I do and the things I have to do. I almost have to mimic those kind of situations in like a controlled environment, like do it, without being risky, So how do you get back into like normal society without just being a complete savage all the time? Because my job every day was to be physical and manhandle people, and we get fist fights, and things would happen, but it was like you can't act that way in normal society. So how do you function really? Like how do you go about that? What are some of the things that you do on a daily basis to kind of manage that?
It's a great question, and it's absolutely true. And I don't know if you knew this, but I worked with the New England Patriots for a few years in a row. And, I worked on the line, I worked with the guys. I got a unique perspective into, what you guys do. And every time you're right, it's very relatable. And there's a lot that we handle. You go into the fight. Every time I talked about when you walk over that line, like that was your battlefield. You're walking to the line to go to war. And realistically, like as men, as protectors, as providers, as guys that are showing up to do their job, you're looking to get into the fight. You're looking to make a difference. And really, you're doing it in your unique way. And some guys that I talked to are like, oh, dude, we could relate to everything. Me kicking in a door was exactly how you're feeling right when that ball moves, And they really are very similar because we're all human. We all have the same reaction to things in some ways. The chemical makeup that's happening, the adrenaline control, going into the battle, fighting, exposure training. I talk about that stuff all the time. You're geared for this, and I know that I was geared for what I did. And honestly, when I got out, I really wasn't ready to transition. Like I got out, I'm like, okay, well, I guess I just keep doing what I know and what I love. And finding those outlets, I would have told you the first 3 years that staying in the gym probably in a lot of small ways saved my life because I knew that I had to engage fully. I knew that I had to engage mentally. We have that makeup of spirit, mind, and body. And if all three of those connected, we're in our happy place. If we're seeing progress, we're in our happy place. So I would say for a lot of guys, and for you in particular, and you're doing that, obviously, you're staying in the gym, you're staying active. I think that we need to realize how valuable that is because when guys let up on that, things can get weird. Like things can get like, now you're looking around like, okay, where do I go with all these skills that I have and all this energy that I have? So you really do have to find those outlets. And when they work for you, like don't let them go. Create that pillar in your life. Know it's important. I was telling my wife for a long time, I said, look, if I don't get into the gym first thing in the morning, I'm just not going to be the best version of myself. If I don't go in and fight and better myself in the shoot house, I'm not going to be the best version of myself. And for a long time, that played out. So I think you're on the right track. I really do. There's a lot we can relate to, but I think it's staying engaged in those things, fighting, staying in the gym, engaging in competition. That's another one that we really can't let go. I think as men, it's really, really important no matter at what stage in our life that we're in, we really have to find that healthy competition. It keeps us engaged in a way that we can't really do on our own.
Yeah, even if it's just competing against yourself, because that's what I do. I've always been able to compete against myself. And you're right, man. The training and having something. What I do is I do a lot of bow hunting, so I always have something to look forward to that's on the calendar. And I want to make sure that I'm in shape and I'm going to be able to go out there and kick ass while I'm out there because I don't want to get out there and be shocked or surprised. When my legs start feeling heavier, when I got a bunch of weight on my back, and what that feels like. And that has really helped. The other thing that helps me is grappling.
Yeah.
So I started grappling with guys, and because I come from a wrestling background anyways, and I just love it. and that gives me that like physical, like manhunt, like competing against another man. You know what I mean? Like it's just you and him. And when people are watching you and stuff, I don't have to compete and like professionally to do it, but you can still get what you need out of it, just like going to a gym. I was doing it with Brian Shaw, so literally the strongest man on the planet. We were getting after it. It was just like that gave me. It was so good for me because I was struggling because I need competition. Like I have to be able to compete. There has to be something to work for. Just going to the gym and doing like the same workouts over and over. That's why I'm like, I got to be with like a little group. There's got to be a group of guys, like a tribe, that are all training together. That we're all kind of training for the same type of things, and that's just.
I think that
really important.
I think that what you said was exactly true. When we feel a level of progress, you said competing against yourself, and that's absolutely true. Or you're competing against your brother next to you, aligning in those goals and feeling continual progress. Because each one of those things, bow hunting and grappling, that is a never-ending journey all the way up until we die, right? It changes the wisdom that you gain, the leverage that you gain, the knowledge that you gain. It's a never-ending journey, which is what's so beautiful about it. And for me, listening to you, and again, a lot of times when I'm talking to guys like you, I'm talking to myself because it's a pillar that just like me being in the shoot house, it's mind, body, and spirit all engaging at the same time. I don't think that people that don't do that, they don't grapple, they don't go in the shoot house, they've never really experienced that fullness of engagement. They don't realize what they're missing, and they can kind of go through life being like, okay, I'm doing okay. And you're like, no, you're not reaching what we know exists. But for me, the ending statement on that question, honestly, Derek, would be, don't ever let it go. Don't ever stop doing it, and always know that's part of who you are, because the second that you do, then part of who you actually are creating yourself to be, and that progress that you feel and the fullness of you becoming that asset to you, your family, and everybody else that's around you will be diminished. We know that our brain grows, we grow in all types of ways when we challenge ourselves. And it's like, you figured that out. Now you're just on the journey to improve that and refine it. As you go through new seasons in life, you adapt those pillars with you along the way, all the way up until we leave,
Yep. I couldn't agree more, brother. That's, I say this all the time, and it's, like I said, football and combat are two different things, but we are like, we go into a game with that mentality. Like when we go out on the field, we go into that mentality of like, we're going to war. Like that's how we present it. It's presented to us as a war. Like we're going to war. It's like, all these things are on the line when it comes to, playoffs are on the line. Coaches' jobs are on the line. Your job is on the line. Nobody's life is really on the line, but like at the end of the day, like that's how I feed my family. It was like so intense. Like it's hard to explain to people the feeling before you go out on the field. You're like terrified. There's like a healthy fear there, and this crazy anxiety, not nervousness. It's like crazy anxiety to just get to it.
Yeah.
And it's like being able to control all of that and then just unleash it like 6 seconds at a time. Because it's not like this. It's a 6-second football play, and then you have to like settle yourself down and go to the next play and do that over and over and over and over again. And then at the end of the day, try not to get any penalties and try not to like lose your mind, because sometimes you want to like explode. It feels like I just need to explode. So I would go into the bathroom. I'd go get the first series out of the way, and then I'd go to the bathroom and just like scream at the mirror. And then it would be like, okay, I'm ready. Like I'm good now. Like I got it out of me. I'm good. And I'd go out there and just get into the zone and walk in.
And that's really recognizing like you're built different, right? You're built for a specific purpose. Just like I was built for a specific purpose, to get in that door, to find the target, to be precise. It's not diminishing anything to say that you're going to war on that field, because for all intents and purposes, like our paths were different, right? We're both men seeking something that can provide for our family, make a difference, make an impact. The feeling is very similar. You're stepping on the field, I'm stepping on the helo, right? And there was just the path that you chose, it was the path that I chose, or where God's circumstance led us. And at the end of the day, you have to recognize like that was your calling. That was your place to be. I think a lot of guys can miss that point too, because it's like God put you right there exactly at that time for those reasons. So now make the best of it. Do the best that you possibly can, and don't ever waste a second of where you have the opportunity to be. And clearly, you engage at a very, very high level, and you're still to this day making the best of it. So it's awesome to see, man. It really is.
Well, thank you. Man. I appreciate it. And it's funny because I was actually, if football didn't work out, Navy SEALs is where I was headed. Like that was my backup plan.
I can tell. I mean, because of the mindset that you have and that tenacity. One thing I just told somebody else the other day, where you can always get a guy that's aggressive to pull him back a little bit. I'm sure you've heard people say that before, right? You can grab a guy and say, hey, tone it down. But you can't get a guy and kick him in the butt and be like, dude, you gotta go. Where's your motivation? That's the last thing that I need, whether I'm stepping over the line or going into a door. And I can tell that's the level of tenacity that you have, which is what makes a great team guy, which is what makes a great warrior. And at the end of the day, you're the type of dude that I want to go into a room with that people are threatening our lives and we're fighting to the death. I can already tell that's the level of tenacity you have. Like, look, our family's behind us. It's them or us. And if we don't do this, their lives are at stake. Let's go. I don't have to talk to you much to realize that that's the level of intensity that you apply. And field or in battle, it really is the same.
Yeah, and I think that's what football. A lot of football is doing it for the guy next to you. Yep. Like you're not doing it for yourself; it's for the guy next to you. I spent a lot of time I was an interior defensive lineman. My job was to eat up blocks, to take on double teams, to push the pocket, to force quarterbacks into the arms of other guys. That was my job. And there's a lot of like being in service of like your brothers, and there's like knowing that they trust you. That was the ultimate compliment. It's like, he's a great teammate. Like that's the guy you want to go to battle with. Like that was the best compliment I could ever get from my teammates.
100%. Because
you talk about effort. It's fun. It's crazy. This happens every time I talk to a vet. Every time I talk to somebody who's been to combat and has done this, we can always relate on this, that you never want to have to coach effort.
Right.
Like I should never have to tell you need to go harder. No. Like I always made it a point to have my coaches were have to tell me to slow down. Hey, don't get so close to the quarterback. Hey, chill out.
That's the goal.
I want if a coach tells me that, it's like I won.
Yep.
I won that day.
And that's for coaches and leaders, all over the place. It's like if you see a guy putting that level of effort, that's where to start. If you got a guy that's willing to show up like that, you can coach him. You can guide him with skill. So you're absolutely right. I have one last thing for you. Have you read the book, The Warrior Ethos?
No.
All right. That's the challenge I have for you. There's a part in it about brotherhood, and that chapter is epic, but it really embodies what you just brought up so well, no matter who you are, because we seek that brotherhood, but when it really comes down to it, what on the battlefield, what he says to his men is like, look, we know that death is imminent here. Don't do things for lofty things like freedom or he names a bunch of other stuff, but do it for your brother that's standing next to you and the fact that you love him and he's embodied within you. So they fought nail and tooth all the way to the death because they're literally feeling that soul next to them. Like, it's me and you. We believe in what we're doing here, and I'm going to fight to the death for you. So that's embodied. So read that book. Derek, it's been awesome having you on here, man. It really has, dude. I look forward to talking to you again. Keep crushing everything that you're doing. It's awesome to see what you're up to, and I think that you're on the right track. I really do. Hopefully that helps you in your journey. And again, you got the first live in the Dangerous Questions podcast. So
great honor, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, dude. Definitely great having you here.
All right, brother. Thank you.
Peace.